Didn't have to knock me out, but I'm still holding the throne. You'll never know till it's over.
Hello YouTube. Today I want to talk about escapes from the Missouri State Penitentiary, the walls, aka the bloodiest 47 acres. Jay Walker, a subscriber, former convict, and I use the word convict in the true sense of the word, at the Missouri State Penitentiary, asked if I would do some stories on escapes. And the funny thing is, I went to he's got a couple that he's told me. I know one, and then I've tried looking some up. Some of the ones that me and Jay know about, the Missouri State Penitentiary Archives doesn't seem to have. But that's alright, we're going to tell them anyway. So here's the first one that Jay's talking about. He says a guy named Orville Tillwater and Old Man Wilson have been in Jeff 40 years, and they was allowed to wander freely. He got to hang around the industrial area where the trains come in. The Missouri River went right by the prison, and between the river and the prison was a train, where the train went. He caught the right time and went for it. He found an old boat and went down to the river. Cops and guards seen him, and what does it say here? In the boat in a straw hat and a fishing pole. And they knew who he was, but asked him who he was, and he replied, "I live in Cedar City. Left my ID at home." They laughed and said, "Good day," and they let him drift a little longer and went and got him, laughing their butts off. Corey Pete worked in the tag plant, running the forklift. He put a skid on the forks and a barrel. Pete came over and asked me to put on his hat and coat and drive the forklift down by the back wall, which is low. It is low. And I ran along the hallway, I guess he says halfway there, raised the forks, and Pete jumped over and ran. And nobody ever seen him. I parked a lift, and they could not figure out how he got away. Terry and Jeff, Terry was off death row, and Jeff was doing he wasn't getting out of prison. He was in alive. And they got out of their cells and onto the front wall, and Rick had them covered and started shooting at them, making them run back and forth like mice. Terry short and Jeff tall, looked like cartoon cats. They shot at them for about 30 minutes, laughing all the time. Remember, I was there right after James Earl Ray left, and while Mad Jimmy Bradley tried with a bow and arrow. Nobody cares about these old convict stories, but us old ones. Yeah, he's right. He's absolutely right about that. You know, the convicts keep these stories alive, and I can tell you some about Jay himself that I didn't know was him until he said something. But anyway, I got some more stories here, but I want to talk about Jay for a minute. And this, a little off topic, this is not about escape, but maybe kind of in a little way it is. Jay and another guy robbed the canteen one time. The music room was right next to the canteen, and from my understanding, they went up through the ceiling, went over, went down into the canteen, and loaded these cases that held musical instruments up with canteen and left. I don't know how many times they did it. I would have to ask Jay about that, but anyway, years later when I got there, they were still talking about this, and I didn't know. They didn't. I think only one person mentioned the word Jay, but most people just said a couple people robbed the canteen. So, Jay, I hope you don't mind me telling that story, but you're a legend because of that, you know. Here's some stories I found from the archives of the Missouri State Penitentiary. 1870, some convicts got away by getting on freight trains. Guards complained that the people on the train that worked on the train were encouraging the escapes by motioning them to get on the train. And back then, they said in the early days of the penitentiary, escapes were common because, you know, the inmates were building the walls, you know. What a lot of people don't understand about the walls, it was called the walls because it had this wall around it, was on the outside it's not very high in many places. But on the inside it's real tall. And so it's kind of like a basement, you know, it's like down in the ground. So, you know, you hear people all the time that's never been in there saying, well, it looks like I can scale that wall. But you can't on the other side. It's harder, you know, because it's taller. November 24th, 1905, 4 convicts escaped. They shot the deputy warden REC and a couple guards and jumped on a wagon. One of the convicts was shot, another fell off. A boy ran out and grabbed the bridle of one of the horses that was pulling the wagon and stopped the wagon, and a policeman apprehended the last 2 convicts. January 1926, 2 convicts grabbed a ladder and flew over the wall, and they tried to cross the Missouri River by getting on ice sheets. It had, and this still happens to this day. If it gets real cold, you'll see these big blocks of ice floating down the river. And guards ran alongside the river holding sticks out. And these sheets of ice that he was on apparently came back towards the shore, and these guys hung on, you know, stayed out there as long as they could, and it got so cold that they finally let the guards pull them in. You know, they reached out and grabbed the sticks and let the guards pull them in. Then there was James Earl Ray. April 23rd, 1967. To hear their story, convicts put him in a box, and this was loaded onto a truck that was going to Wrench Farm. Wrench Farm's another prison in Missouri, low-level prison. And that somewhere along the way he got out before it got to Wrench Farm. I want you to think about this. Everybody that was at the walls knows that this is almost impossible because of the count time at the time and everything. And just think about this. We all think it was an inside job just because the way the whole setup is and the way they do count and everything. But so he's in this box, in this truck heading to Wrench Farm. Gets out of the box and out of the truck. You think he did all that while the truck was moving? No. I think they stopped and let him out. I think it was an inside job. That's just my personal opinion. It's the opinion of, and the view of many convicts, and people that was at the walls, and probably even some guards. Then there was Dennis Lilly. Now, I heard a lot about Dennis Lilly. when I was at the walls, because this happened like a year or so before I got there, a couple years before I got there. Jay Walker knew him, and I ain't gonna go into all that Jay told me. I mean, it's not my business to. Some things are just better left unsaid. But I will say this. Dennis Lilly dresses up in a guard's uniform, walks out of the prison. Oh man, you know, and he was never caught. He was never caught. But you won't find that in the Missouri State Penitentiary Archives. But you can look it up, Dennis Lilly, and find him in some places. But I don't know why I find that so funny, but it is funny to me. And so there have been escapes from the walls. It wasn't unescapable. Oh, there's one story I forgot to tell you. When I was there, down there by the tag plant, the tag plant gets pretty close to the wall. I didn't see this because I didn't work in the tag plant, but there was a guy trying to make a glider. He was just trying to make it a glider big enough so that he could glide over the wall. All he wanted was for it to get him across the wall. He didn't care what happened then, as long as he landed and you know, he took off. Sorry about that. Camera went off again. Turned this up off. But anyway, he made this glider. Had it on the roof. He kind of had it hidden and everything. And apparently, like a day before he was to get up there and try it, he got told on. Somebody snitched on him, and he got busted with the glider and everything. I think it would have worked, because there was not very much room from the top of that roof to the wall, and the wall was higher than the roof. I think he would have made it. How far he would have made it after he got on the other side, I don't know. But I think he would have made it. But there has been people escaped and tried to escape from the walls, MSP, for years. I mean, it's always happening. Even when I was at the Missouri State Penitentiary, did not try it, but I was talking to a guy one time, and we're looking at the guard towers and stuff, and the wall and stuff, and we're up on a bank so we can see out on the outside and see houses and stuff. I mean, there's like houses all around the prison, like where people live. And I said, you know, if everybody in this prison decided to rush the wall, they could not stop all of us. And he turned to me and he said, young blood, you're right about that. They couldn't stop us all, but they would get some of us. Do you want to be one of the ones they got? So, yeah, he had a point there, you know. Because when I was there, I was told that they had a shotgun, an AR-15, and a pistol in each of the towers. There's 16 of them, and they're so far apart, you know. They's all within sight of one another. Like one tower was within sight of the other one. But you know, even if people never tried it, they definitely thought about it. I know it crossed my mind, but I never did try it. You know, there's a couple ways I've thought about getting out, but I never did try them. So that's all I got for you today. Thank you for watching, and see you next time. But you know how you avoid, one more thing, you can avoid thinking about escaping from prison by not going to start with. You know, if you're not in prison, you're not thinking about getting away, you're not thinking about trying to live from day to day. Anyway, See you next time. Love y'all. Bye.